Hello again, it's your friendly neighborhood host JT Wheatley back for another episode of History Comics Podcast. This time with another edition of the classics, and this is me a shout out to my friend Adam over at the Ring of Thunder podcast with one of his favorite series of all time, and that is The Walking Dead, which was originally created by Robert Kirkman and Tony Moore back in 2003, and later Charlie Allard would take over for art for much of the series as well. And this is just a classic. It was part of the revival of the zombie genre in the early 2000s, and it's done in brilliant comic book form, in which basically a sheriff wakes up in a hospital. He's been in a coma for some time, and he finds out the world's been overrun by zombies. He has to track down his wife and figure out where his family's at. And he slowly starts to feel how the world is just descending into madness, because once the zombie apocalypse happens, you find out, as the best zombie horror films, the real enemy is not the zombies, but man itself. And it's great to see how, and Kirkman does a brilliant job just illustrating just how the zombies aren't that, while they are scary, they're not that bad. It's just how it manages, society falls apart, people start cliques, start just killing each other, doing pretty horrific things. And this is a brilliant series that lasted all the way to 2019 for 193 issues. And it really set the standard for the zombie genre, at least in comic book medium. And of course, has numerous spin-offs since then. They have the AMC Walking Dead series that's just recently ended, and with numerous spin-offs off that, video games and so forth. But yeah, the original comic book series is a true classic in and of itself. And granted, a series that lasted this long had its ebbs and flows, but definitely worth checking out, especially the first 50 issues, which are a classic. And the one thing about Kirkman, he has his comics, including Invincible, collected in these large omnibus formats, where they're like $50, but it's like 50 comics in one big old tome. So it's definitely worth picking up for that. Great read in general. So yeah, you're looking for a great zombie comic with a horror comic slice, go check out The Walking Dead, because yeah, a lot of people talk about that, but go back and read that, because that is a true classic.
Great things are coming on the Nerd Bliss podcast. We're changing up our presentation while keeping the candidness that you enjoy. We'll cover all your favorite shows and movies, with maybe a few surprises along the way. And you, yes you, will have opportunities to be on our show on a regular basis. That's right, you've got the Zoom Pro account, and we're going to use it. So be ready. Find us at nerdblisspodcast.com and esonetwork.com, and on all the socials at NerdBlissPod. Nerd Bliss. Listen up.
Now it is June 29th, 2023, time for the favorite comic of the week. City Boy, number 2, by Greg Pak and Minku Zhang, which continues the new series of the character Cameron, who has a strange connection to the city of Metropolis where he lives, where originally it was shown that he could just find things that are lost in the city, but now he appears to have actually command over the city. When some villains show up, there turns out to be some classic Metropolis villains that shows that he's going to have a larger connection to the DC universe. Greg Pak does a great job once again establishing Cameron, like slowly wheeling out just where he's from, but not keeping the story too slow. Some characters immediately show up that starts explaining where he comes from and where his power sets are. And Young's art is actually really gorgeous, a nice manga influence to it. They really establish how powerful he really is when he's able to tap into the power of the city. It's some cool imagery that you just have to read to see. And all that, like I said, it's starting to now tie into the larger DC universe. Not only does some classic villains show up, but a classic hero shows up at the very end too. So yeah, definitely worth checking out. And also have to congratulate the Superman and Lois on the conclusion of the season 3, and also thankfully they are going to go to season 4 because it ended up a bit of a cliffhanger. And this is probably my favorite CW Arrowverse to date, because it's a family drama hiding as a superhero show, where it's basically about this family trying to cope with raising twin boys. But the parents are Superman and Lois Lane, and that's what makes the show so great, especially this season, because while they had the classic backdrop of they're going after Bruno Mannheim, another classic Superman villain, they're also dealing with the fact that Lois is diagnosed with breast cancer. It's something that Superman can't solve. All he can do is just be there and support his wife. It's great, powerful story, and the acting is superb. And also a nice shout out to Michael Cudlitz, who comes in the last 2 episodes of playing this show's version of Lex Luthor, and he instantly makes his mark in his 2 episodes. I can't wait to see him in season 4. So with that will conclude this edition of the Classics. Join me again next week for likely another edition But till then, go out and enjoy yourself a good comic book. And if you can, check out The Walking Dead. I know it's one that everyone talks about, but those first 50 issues or so will easily get you hooked because those are true classics.